in that?
Well, I would suggest that you take a look at this YouTube video with Rupert Sheldrake. Rupert Sheldrake has an hour-and-a-half video on, he talks about experimental evidence that shows things like people knowing who is on the phone call and whatnot, who's making the call, and do dogs actually come. And he was invited onto this show with, so we're not talking about God here. We're talking about non-materialism, okay? And he was on this TV show with, they were filming it. And as I understand, Dawkins comes out immediately with this big attack. How can you say this sort of stuff? And whoever heard of such a thing? And what's your facts? And Rupert said, well, almost everybody's had these experiences. So then Sheldrake said to Dawkins, where is your evidence to say that these things don't happen? And he just shut up, because Sheldrake has got all kinds of evidence. There's a recent TV series from the United States called Through the Wormhole, which is it's all lay stuff, but these are eminent physicists who have leaning toward a non-materialistic view. James Jeans, member of the Royal Society, an astronomer and an astrophysicist, says that to him the universe more closely resembles a giant thought than a giant machine. Okay? So, anyway.
So my question is essentially about the way societies develop. As Sri Lanka, for example, develops and we acquire more material wealth, and this wealth trickles down to the lower echelons of society, does spirituality become something irrelevant? Do we need it? What does it offer us in the face of, GDP per capita of like $8,000 and people driving Audis and BMWs everywhere, What does spirituality offer us as our society moves on?
Emil Durkheim in the 1800s pointed out that people who don't have a culture are more likely to commit suicide than those who do. He invented that term, anomie. Okay? I think that spirituality provides some sort of meaning. Okay? Meaning. This is one of the things that we don't have in an amorphous urban society. That's off the top of my head.
As I understand, in Theravada Buddhism, there is no creator God or savior God. Am I right in assuming that? And does that make us atheists? Would it make me an atheist?
Yes.
Because I don't believe in a creator God,
right,
or a savior God.
Okay, I read a science fiction book about this gentleman who said that he decided long ago that on even-numbered days he would believe in a created universe, and on odd-numbered days he would believe in an eternal universe, and with one day off per every 4 years for pure solipsism. See, both of them don't make sense. So if you're spiritual, why don't you find out for yourself? Pray to God. If it works for you, keep doing it. If it doesn't, try to find your true self. Is that eternal or not? Does it die or not? Sorry, I can't be more specific. Okay.
Any more questions?
One last question. Do you see a difference in spirituality in urban spaces as opposed to spirituality elsewhere? Do you see a difference in how people view spirituality, how people absorb it, how people connect to it?
What difference do you see in people being spiritual and practicing spirituality in an urban environment and a rural environment?
Well, I've always lived in an urban environment or a suburban environment in California. So I really don't know. I don't know. Do you think, I mean, I would love to discuss this with you and find out what you think. Maybe perhaps I'll learn something new.
Honestly, I have no idea either. Which is precisely why I'm asking. But yeah, but thank you for the answer.
Can I ask you, the Dawkins theory is that we all originated from a cell. So we could have been, hello? Thanks. Dawkins' theory is that we all originated from a cell. So we could have been, our ancestors could have been a frog, or could have been a little bee, and we evolved from a cell. And that has been scientifically verified by all sorts of scientists all over the world. Now, there is no evidence to suggest that we originated from Adam and Eve. Now, in the absence of sound scientific evidence, how could you dismiss what Dawkins says, unless you believe in the mumbo-jumbo theories that has been written by men over the years, even before the birth of Christ? So unless we have scientific evidence, how can the whole system in the world will fall down, including our legal system?
I'll give you my card after the meeting, and you give me an email, and I'll send you an email back with this marvelous article written by Ian Stevenson, written in 1955. It was published in the Atlantic Monthly, and he talked in this article about how closed-minded scientists are. Once they make up their mind about something, or then that's the way it is, and they fight tooth and nail to make sure that this is the worldview. Example, Einstein spent 28 years of his life trying to prove spooky action at a distance didn't exist and could be explained in materialism. And in the end, he wrote down, I must admit I've been wrong. Okay? So I only quoted Dawkins, not in terms of God and things like that, but in terms of mindset, of being open to things that don't fit the paradigm. Okay.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think we've come to the end of our first half an hour segment. I would like to thank the Venerable Upatissa for his time today. It's been a fantastic day.